Welcome to today's Software AG webcast titled, Are You Ready for Natural Version 9? Today's webcast will be presented by Karl-Heinz Kronauer, Senior Director, Product Management, and Patrick Gould, Chief IT Architect, both of Software AG. As we move through today's presentation, I invite you to submit any questions that you may have via the Q&A box, which is located in the top right corner of your webcast dashboard. We will address your questions at the end of today's program. In the event that we're not able to answer your question, all submissions will be recorded, and today's presenters will be back in touch with you as soon as possible. Today's presentation is being recorded. This program recording will be made available to you in an email that will be sent to you later this evening. Additionally, this webcast recording will be posted to the Database and Natural playlist on the Software AG YouTube channel later today. With that, it is now my pleasure to welcome Karl-Heinz Kronauer.
Hello and welcome to my presentation today. My name is Karl-Heinz Kronauer and I'm in product management responsible for the Natural family of products. In this presentation, I explain the most important changes with the Natural V9 version 9 release coming in October 2018. And this release is for mainframe, Unix and Linux, and of course, also I will explain what this has to do with NaturalONE. So what means now NaturalONE, the one and only, as the title of my presentation says? In one sentence, with the October release, Natural version 9 per default, we will disable the Natural Green Screen Editor, and you get instead NaturalONE and the Natural Development Server NDV. And why we are doing that and how we will do it, I will explain now in my presentation. What was the motivation behind this decision to move that way? First of all, we want to attract and retain new talents with modern state-of-the-art development tools. And that's why customers are telling us that they don't find new developers that want to work with such legacy character-based tools like the editor. With NaturalONE, we have now a tool, Eclipse-based, that is looking quite similar as tools like, for example, for Java. And new hires coming from the university are already familiar with the look and feel and working with such tools and find it easy to start working immediately with NaturalONE. Also, standardized development process and tools, and organizations are standardizing their set of tools. They are using and doing this mostly based on the Eclipse platform, where NaturalONE fits in very well. Also, the enterprises today are leverage open source tools of the Eclipse ecosystem. Eclipse is very open, and so you can open source tools integrate very well in Eclipse and so also with NaturalONE. Many customers already are using these open source tools like repositories, like Subversion or Git, or other tools like issue tracking tools like Jira or Mozilla. Increased developer productivity and capabilities, and there NaturalONE is offering a variety of tools to increase the productivity. For example, the editor provides so-called content assist features and syntax coloring that is very powerful. The natural parser works instantly. That means that you see programming errors immediately after you're typing and not after doing as you are doing in a traditional environment after a check or a cat or stole command. And of course, utilities like debugger and the profiler are built in the NaturalONE Eclipse environment. Also, these environments like NaturalONE are supporting agile and parallel development. So this does mean that it's repository-based, either on Subversion or Git. They are recommended from us. And they are allowing parallel development without any risk losing or overwriting source code. Functions like merging code and comparing functions of different versions of code are available. And of course, you get access to older versions that can be rebuilt from the history. What are now customers telling us about these ideas? And first, it was announced so the NaturalONE and Only, was announced at the International User Group in Salzburg, Austria, 2017. And after that, on various local user groups, also in the Technics magazine, we published in the second quarter last year an article, also with a Q&A, and a lot of customer feedback we got after that, and it was also discussed a lot in the discussion lists. So some customer quotes now here on the slide. First, of course, NaturalONE simplifies the learning of the programming language because it provides a lot of functions like help functions, the content assist, templates for codes, and of course, you have many views in one perspective. You not just see the editor, you have references, you have an outline view, and a tree where you see your projects and libraries. Then also another quote is, with agile methods and modern development tools, Natural is no longer considered as being legacy. And this is, of course, very important because many customers don't know already that we have a tool like NaturalONE. And customers starting with that, they are not longer seeing us or seeing Natural and the development tools as legacy, but as modern development tools and being state of the art. And another customer said, NaturalONE takes Natural out of a silo and makes it part of the DevOps strategy. And that's because NaturalONE is open and can be integrated with open source tools, and of course implementing DevOps strategies, and they can be implemented very well with Natural. Now on the next slide, I explain what stays and what will come then in version 9. So today we have several variants how you can work with Natural today. You have the Natural Code Editor, and if we are talking about the Natural Code Editor and also disabling the editor, we are talking about the Natural Program Editor, the Data Editor, and the Map Editor. So tools like SysDDM, for example, they are staying untouched as they are today. Then we have there the Natural ISPF Editor. Then we have the scenario also called a single point of development scenario, or sometimes also abbreviated as SPOT. And that does mean working with Windows or with the Windows Studio and accessing via the Natural Development Server, Server Natural. And then a little bit similar like that, NaturalONE, also accessing Natural via the Natural Development Server. But in this approach, we always talking about also about repository, keeping the source code and not about a user-based approach. So that's what we have today, and what will be then tomorrow. So this does mean starting with the October release this year. We will have the UI of the editor, as I said before, will no more be visible. So the engine of the editor, for example, will not disappear, of course. Yeah, it will be there as it is today, but only the UI is not visible. And if you enter the edit command, you will get an error message telling you that the editor is disabled. Then the Natural ISPF product will stay as it is. And there will be also no change with the Natural for Windows Studio, the scenario, and of course NaturalONE will stay as it is today as well. So these are the varieties of Natural you are working today. And there you see exactly what is stay the same than with October release and what is changing. Okay, coming now to some questions and answers, and these are the most frequently answered questions we are getting from asked and answered questions we are getting from our customers. And let's start with the first one. When will NaturalONE become the default environment? And this is with version 9 of Natural, scheduled for October 2018. So with this release then, for Natural for mainframe, Natural for Linux and Unix, the editor will be disabled and NaturalONE will become the default development environment. Maybe just one remark for the IBM VSE customers amongst you, the VSE version of Natural 9 will come in April 19. So as usual, also in the past releases, the VSE version is always coming after the US version. Is Software AG retiring the green screen Natural Editor? No, it will not be visible anymore, and that's very important. Talking about retiring is very hard, yeah. So we are talking about disable it, yeah. And as I said before, if you enter the edit command, you will just get an error message that's telling you, okay, you have now version 9, and you got NaturalONE, yeah, and you should work with NaturalONE in that scenario. Of course, it's possible with version 9 that you continue also to work with your current version 8 versions in parallel to the version 9. So you could start, of course, with version 9 in one environment and then continue also for a certain time in your version 8. The next question is, will customers have to buy the NaturalONE and the Natural Development Server? And I would say no. There will be a like-for-like exchange because we are taking away the editor and you are getting NaturalONE and the Natural Development Server in addition at no additional charge. And this will start with version 9 in October. Next question. How long will be the current or previous natural version with development in green screen environment as by default be supported after the October release? And there also a clear answer. Natural 8 for mainframe and NaturalONE 4 for Unix and Linux will be supported until December 31st of 2020. So there is enough time then to manage this change. Next question is, we have many programs and utility from Software AG, and customers are using Natural Editor functions via APIs. Will they also be discontinued? And again, no, these programs will work as before. So the user exits, you know about the user exits USR programs in SysEXT that are accessing the editor. Of course, they are still working. Yeah, so you don't need to change your applications and adapt it to this new scenario with the disabled editor. And also important that batch processing is not impacted, because we know, for example, that some customers are using dynamic source code generation in batch, or they are using the editor for generating source in batch. So we decided in batch, the editor is not impacted. Will Natural ISPF still be available after the October release 2018? And also there, the answer is yes. You can still use the Natural ISPF, and of course with that, the Natural ISPF editor, because Natural ISPF is a chargeable add-on and it will stay as a chargeable add-on, so you can still use it. What is now the recommended development approach in that scenario, in that new scenario? You get the NaturalONE, and of course you can also access to the user file via the Natural Development Server as shown here on that slide on the left side. But this is a traditional approach that we do not recommend. We are recommended the repository-based approach where you have copy and merge functions available and your source code is in your repository, because this is really then allowing your parallel development without one developer can destroy the source or overwrite the source of another developer. All changes are versioned and there's a history tracking. You can comment your history. You can build branches, releases, versions, and so on. You have, of course, then also code compare and merge functions available. You can go back to a previous version and so on. And last but not least, you can integrate, of course, also with other tools, such demand and issue tracking tools that is managing, for example, your support tickets. So this is the approach we are recommending, and also Patrick Gold in the next presentation will explain this a little bit more, also which kind of support we are giving you to make this transition as smooth as possible. And this does mean we help you also to introducing, of course, this new scenario and also NaturalONE. We leave you not alone there. And you might have already seen it. We produced already a free self-service series of videos. They are available via access through our webpage, so the developer community, and are also on YouTube. And we have there one series related to basics of NaturalONE. And we have already completed one series explaining how to implement the DevOps strategy. So these are already available, and currently basically we are working also on another series of videos about a basic learning of Natural. And of course, this should not then replace product training, but it's already a first start in our product training, and also for NaturalONE, we modernized the product training, so this is already done and available. So NaturalONE product training, and also we modernized the courses NaturalONE and Natural2 for beginners and for people with more experience. So all these classes had been modernized. Then we are providing also product upgrade services, and from consulting services, we are providing services for implementing DevOps, and we have also Prime methodology that is as a template free of charge, also available on the internet. We have a customer-specific, this all would result then in a customer-specific implementation plan, and also special of this kind of services we are offering. Patrick will explain it more in detail than in his presentation. Okay, what is now the roadmap and the schedule for the introduction of NaturalONE, and so NaturalONE and only? We started in October 17 with announcement at the International User Group conference, and also in Technics. Actually, we are there today, where the red circle is showing it you, and basically we announced it also on this year's International User Group conference that was already in April in Berlin. And from today, of course, your time frame is starting to introduce NaturalONE. But of course, I know several of you have already introduced NaturalONE and did make experience, and for them, of course, it's much more easier than with new customers starting with NaturalONE. But the time frame is more than 2 years, yeah. And with the October release, we will then introduce the version 9 for mainframe, Unix, and Linux. As I also said before, Windows is not impacted, yeah, because Windows provides this Microsoft proprietary dialog techniques, yeah, and that's the reason also we leave this product as it is today. And then the end of maintenance for that version will be end of December 2020. Yeah, so that's the time frame now for version 9 when we introduce it, and also the end of maintenance for the 8 versions will then end of December 2020. Okay, so this was my part of the presentation, and thank you very much for listening. And I would now like to hand over to Patrick for the second part of the webinar.
Hi, everybody. This is Patrick Gould. I've met many of you people. It's very, very exciting to see so many of you on the call today. I've been working with NaturalONE for a long, long time. I love it, very comfortable with it. And the developer productivity from tools like this is just enormous. It also stands in line with our Database Natural 2050 story, where especially myself, I doubt I'll be around at 2050, and we just want to make sure that Natural and the database can still run as it is today with a whole new generation of people. The Natural Eclipse is a modern GUI editor for Natural. And just to put a little bit in perspective of time, for all of you who are counting, database turns 50 years old in 3 years' time. That is phenomenal that we have been working with a product that has such a long history, and it is still going on today. So I have a few slides, and the basis of my slides today is to try and prepare you for NaturalONE. What are the best ways to be ready? Make sure you understand all the components that there are there, all the resources that are open to you to get this up and running. So if we look at the architecture, what you would be familiar with right now, if you have not deployed NaturalONE or Natural Studio with the Natural Development Server before, is your NaturalONE will stay as is. I mean, your Natural will stay the same. What would be new would be the Natural Development Server, and then, of course, the NaturalONE. So I look at the Natural Development Server as the plumbing. This is what provides you with the TCP/IP link to the mainframe. And then the Natural Development Server, of course, is listening on a port that you have decided on, or ports. There's many, many ways to configure this environment. What that does is it will open up your F-users, your FDICs, your FSECs, your FMATs, any other of your system files to your NaturalONE GUI environment. All your natural security, everything else that you have in place today, that all stays the same. Nothing changes. You have a PALM statement on your mapping. You're going to be able to map into there just as you did today. So as far as the NDV goes, it will run on a ZOS, CVSE, Linux, Unix, Windows Server, and I think also some of those mainframes that we don't have so many of those around here in the US, like BS2000. So this presentation from my side is more focused on the North American side and how we're getting ready for NaturalONE. NaturalONE itself is a product from the SAG installer. You can download it, and then you would install it either on a Windows desktop, a Windows server, or we also have it available for Linux. So I'm going to go here through some preparation. So this is a high level of what I'm trying to get across to you guys today. And that is how to get familiar with NaturalONE today. Of course, we do have a community version of NaturalONE available. One cannot connect to your database or NDV server on a mainframe for that, but it is a very good way to get familiar with NaturalONE. You could also trial the database for the community edition, but other options which we are recommending is to do a trial of Natural 8 now with the NDV and NaturalONE and put that onto a sandbox or a test server and start getting your developers used to NaturalONE. It'll also give your natural administrators the ability to start seeing how to manage this new environment. We have created a NaturalONE cookbook. It is provided on request from your local friendly SE, and I'll cover a little bit more of that in the slides coming up. There are a lot of videos available, and there are new ones arriving all the time. Just today, we're launching a site, which Becky will highlight to you in the last part, new NaturalONE specific site directly off our corporate page. We encourage you to do NaturalONE and Eclipse training. Training, of course, always helps and speeds up getting used to and understanding the products. Once you are comfortable with all of that, your next step would likely be to install and configure the Natural Development Server, probably a Natural Administrator task, and then last but not least, you would install NaturalONE, and that could either be you or your desktop management team. This is all very site-specific as to how that works. And again, just a little push over here. The more you use NaturalONE, the easier it is going to be for you in the end. So, read the NaturalONE cookbook. As I say, get a copy from us. You can contact me or our team. You can contact your account executive. It's just a mechanism. It is easy to follow. It's comprehensive. Shows you how to install NaturalONE. It shows you how to troubleshoot NaturalONE. It gives you tips and techniques. There's a couple of workshops in there that will allow you to code up NaturalONE without being connected to a database. So it'll just teach you how to use the editor and just become familiar with coding in a GUI environment. Again, there's a lot of YouTube links. Actually, in that cookbook, there's 2 links that were prior to the ones that we have created now. So when you get all this material, you will see there's plenty of YouTube links out there for you to get an idea of how NaturalONE all fits together. And of course, it has a very easy to follow install instructions for the actual NaturalONE piece. It does cover NDV as well. So something that will be new to a lot of you people, but maybe not, is Eclipse. So Eclipse, as Karl-Heinz said earlier, is a open source IDE, probably started first with Java, and it has expanded over the years. NaturalONE itself is actually a plugin to Eclipse, as to most of our web methods IDEs. So we have standardized on Eclipse for most of our IDEs, so one can log on to Eclipse and you can jump around to EntireX, Natural, web methods, all in one IDE. It makes life very simple. We expect one of the easiest ways to implement this would be to plan your implementation, and that we can help you with. I have a slide later on to show how we can help you, all the steps to go through. Again, trial NaturalONE version 8 now. Put it in there. There's nothing to stop you getting that. We just have to get hold of your account executive and we put the trial agreement into place. Another option is to wait till October and the early adopters of version 9, put it in a sandbox region and start just getting familiar with it. And I'm not going to do that again. We know when the drop date for Natural version 8 is, so I'm going to move on to my next slide. NaturalONE training. At this point, there is a lot. We have remote, self, or online training available. And our customers, like State of Florida, have already made use of this training. I think that one was last week. But that's all the training is available in our training catalog. Of course, you can ask us for that. Or you can go to this URL that's in this presentation, and that will get you to the latest version of our catalog. Then also, just launched maybe 3-4 weeks ago, there's a learndatabasenatural.com, and you can use this link for some free self-training, NaturalONE videos recently made available. And when it comes to Eclipse, what you probably should want to start to do is just, is to Google Eclipse training, and there are hundreds of different training available. Self-paced training online, so easy way to start getting familiar with Eclipse. It's a concept of perspectives and views, having many things open at the same time, being able to put 2 editor windows next to each other, and then of course every bit of editing tool that you could think of is available inside of NaturalONE. Preparation steps. So one of the things, if you've never done it before, would be to install and configure a Natural Development Server. So of course there's a separate manual for that in Empower, and the instructions are in there. I think it's around about a 10-step install. Remember that when you're moving between platforms, your Natural will need to be Unicode enabled, if you probably have done that already. And that's stuff to do with like SAG ICU to make sure that the conversions between the 2 different environments happen. There might be a few natural security changes you have to make because NaturalONE makes use of sysmain to copy between environments. So it's just an ownership or a right to do certain things, but that is also all documented in the Natural Security Manual as well. I have got pointers to that in the cookbook on how to do that. Then, of course, the NaturalONE itself, that is downloadable via the SAG installer, whether you use images or just your particular way you do that. You will install NaturalONE. It's a simple install. You start it up. It's going to prompt you for a workspace. You're going to enter a workspace, and at that point, you're going to change to the NaturalONE perspective, and you're going to be able to map to that development server that you already have created above. And the parameters needed for that would be the IP address, the port, and then, of course, any security credentials that you have, and any palms that you are allowed to override within the mapping. And you can map to as many environments as you want. You could have as many NDB servers as you have. You could use the same NDB server and just use a different profile, etc. Many, many, many ways to connect to your host Natural. So these are similar to Karl-Heinz's questions, but these were more of things that I noticed out on SAG-Al, and that was fact versus fiction for some of the things we heard. So I'll just go through these quickly. Is one workstation and or server-based? Again, that's going to be your decision. It's normally a customer preference. What are they doing with the Rational or any other Eclipse environments? Do they install it up on a server and then have people RDP or remote into that? It all depends, but it can be done in either way. Workspaces, when you RDP in, are unique to the user coming in, so there's no chance of ever overriding somebody's workspace inside of NaturalONE. The other one we got, can I still use Natural Studio? And it seemed a bit unclear from SAG-Al. And yes, of course, if you already own Natural Studio and you're using NDB, you can carry on doing that. But if you do not embrace NaturalONE before the end of 2020, you would not end up getting the NaturalONE for free. Can I use my existing pack, N2O, or custom migration versioning tools? Yes, there's no change to that. You're going to be moving your code, if you're using pack or N2O, down into your development F user per se, and then your Natural development server will be mapped to that F user. And once it's ready to go back to production per se, you would just go through your normal pack N2O or your custom migration tools. But of course, as Karl-Heinz said, we do recommend looking at the NaturalONE DevOps functionality. And that would really be good for people who do not have any migration tools today. We still find a lot of people who just doing NAT unloads, sysmains without any record of where stuff is going. And this would give you a real good startup tool to be able to completely control your DevOps environments and probably fit in with the rest of your organization, because I can guarantee you somebody is doing DevOps within your organization. And then lastly, how many natural development servers do I need? Again, this is going to be your preference. It'll be pretty similar to the way you configure your Natural today. It depends. You want to have a NAT PARM. You can use different profiles. So you could just, in your map statement in Natural with a PARM, say profile equals. And then all the different settings you have for that profile would be within that mapping. So that is pretty simple. Nothing much to change there at all. Maybe the look and feel will be a little bit different, but that is all. So we already have a lot of customers using NaturalONE. And I'm just going to highlight a few of them, and you can already see they all love it, right? There's a nice little blue heart here, the software AG colors, so they really love it already. So number one on the list is AFNA. They've probably been one of our longest customers with NaturalONE. They used to be a mainframe shop, ported to Linux many years ago, and ever since that day, they have been using NaturalONE. Then we have Black Hills. They've just actually, excitingly, trained up about 88 new college graduates in Natural One to fill their generation gap. So they're a utility company out of Rapid in South Dakota, sorry. Then we have Texas Comptroller, one of our big DB2 shops, and they have embraced Natural One and have the CICS adapter working, everything working for Natural One, as well as using it for entire X generation, web service generation. Various states of California, they've actually already purchased it, and have slowly been, different agencies have embracing Natural One over time. Bernhardt Furniture, one of our CVSE customers, is using Natural One. And then state of Florida, this is probably the latest one when I say of implementation. And that was one that just used our training, and they are ready to go with Natural One. And of course, many more. So if you need a few more references, just let us know, and we can do that for you. And this would be my last slide of the day. And then I'll be passing over to Becky for the closing and some news and some user group information. But we do offer, our GCS team does offer a Natural One readiness assessment. So that would be able to somebody come inside, sit with your people, look at your skills, definition of roles and skills for Natural One, look at what your training needs assessments are, help you create that plan I talked about earlier, an implementation plan, help you do that. And then, of course, look how, if you're ready for DevOps, at what point in time you might want to start doing that. And that, of course, is a one-day free of charge, and that could be organized as well through either your AE or via GCS directly. So thank you very much. Very exciting. So many people attended today, and I'm just going to cross over to Becky now, who will finish this off.
Hey, thanks, Patrick, and thanks, Karl-Heinz Kronauer. And both of you guys come off of mute because I'm going to run through the questions in just a couple minutes, and you guys can answer the questions. But what I wanted to do for everyone out there is just remind you that there are user group meetings coming up. The next one that will have ANN, database and natural content in it, or at this event, will be the New York City user group on September 17th. It's located in Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, down in the financial district. So it's a short walk to the Statue of Liberty and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to join us, please do. We've got a jam-packed agenda there. Patrick will be talking about NaturalONE and NaturalONE. And if you want to get some one-on-one time with Patrick, this would be a good time to do that. We have customers presenting. We have product marketing. And, you know, it's just one of our really good events. So please do come. There is a user group meeting on September 19th in Chicago. At that one, we will not have any database and natural. It'll be covering the web methods, the ARIS, and the Alphabet product lines. But feel free to go to that. There's a lot of good topics and material there to learn about some of our other tools. And then there will also be, and that New York one is a big, like, company-wide, you know, type of thing. And we're also going to be doing some smaller user groups in key locations around the country. So I do have Columbia, South Carolina scheduled already for September 25th. I'm working with our sales rep, Gail Simpson, and the customer. State of South Carolina is actually hosting that. And we'll probably actually do an agenda very similar to what we do in New York here at Columbia, South Carolina. We will also be doing user groups at Sacramento, California, Olympia, Washington, and St. Paul, Minnesota, sometime later this year, sometime in third or fourth quarter. We're just working with the customers on arranging dates and all that kind of stuff. So please feel free to come out and attend our user groups. And remember that we do webinars pretty much every month. Like this month, Patrick and Karl-Heinz just did this NaturalONE presentation. Last month, Bob Jeffcott in the systems engineering group did one on rehosting. That means moving a database from the mainframe to a Linux, Unix, Windows environment. The next one scheduled is July 19th. That will be Ricardo Leitao, who's our Senior Vice President of, I call it professional services, but global consulting services, and he'll talk about some of the different options that our GCS organization can offer to you and your organization. As Patrick mentioned, there is a new NaturalONE webpage. I think it just went live either yesterday or today. This web, the URL is listed here. It just has a lot of different topics and resources about NaturalONE in one consolidated place. I'm sure you find our website sometimes can be a little difficult to find exactly what you're looking for, but this, for NaturalONE, this URL should get you to everything you need to know. Our past webinars, as I mentioned, we do them every month. There is an database and Natural YouTube channel. These are all recorded and placed there. And in addition to the webinars being there, Patrick, myself, other people, we do demos, little quick 20, 30-minute demos, and we post them out there to the YouTube channel as well. I would imagine most of you are on the tech community. That's where you can ask questions not only of each other, but Software AG people, whether they're in R&D, like myself, an SE, or whatever, will respond. You can also ask for a health check. That's something that we've been doing here in the U.S. for a long time, and I kept looking at the attendee list, and a good number of you have actually had health checks performed by myself and Patrick. So if you'd like a health check, they don't cost you anything. Just consider it part of your standard maintenance offering. That's why you pay us maintenance every year, not only to get new versions, but get a health check. We'll help you out with some of your basic questions, do a little bit of performance and tuning in there. Doesn't cost you anything. Just schedule it, and we'll show up and do one. So with that, I'm going to run through some of the questions, and hopefully Patrick and Karl-Heinz are off mute. One of the first questions I want to throw out is, because Patrick mentioned it a few times throughout his presentation, contact your SE or your AE, and those are terms that you may not be familiar with. We just think of them as second nature. An SE is your systems engineer. That's your technical person from Software AG that's assigned to your account. So it's usually Patrick, myself, Eric Wood, Bob Jeffcott, Alex Burgraff. We're all considered the SE group. And Donnie Bierman. I won't forget Donnie. And then your AE is your account executive. That's your salesperson. So, you know, it could be one of several. We have a lot of different account executives, but you probably know your account executive. So, like, you guys from Dole, you know, your account representative was Wayne Lashley. I saw a bunch of you on from Hawaii. Your account executive is Mary LaLoche. I saw Tia Kreff, Teachers Insurance. You're Christian Divinary. So, SE is the technical person assigned to your account. The AE is the overall account manager. A question for Karl-Heinz or Patrick. Does NaturalONE conflict with other Eclipse installations and settings?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I hear both of you.
Oh, good. So go ahead, Karl-Heinz. If we're there, I'm good. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
No. It does not. Yeah. It is embedded in Eclipse, like other tools are embedded, and also open source tools can then be integrated as also, for example, in Java environment. You can also have in your Eclipse natural perspective and environment in the same project. Yeah, you could have also Java code, for example, and you can then work with Java and also with other tools and with Natural very well together.
Yeah, I would just
Patrick,
add
did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'm going to add something. When you download a specific version of NaturalONE, it is always tied to a specific version of Eclipse. So if you're wanting to try and install Natural inside another version of Eclipse, where say you have Rationale or something, you would have to take into account the versions. So sometimes, to me personally, I just like to keep my NaturalONE in an Eclipse environment. But,
yeah, that's important. Yeah, so the standard NaturalONE installation comes with its own Eclipse version, and we are always taking the last Eclipse version with that is released. And as Patrick told, if there is if you're using, for example, a relational, where you have your maybe a global environment run in that is also Eclipse-based, then of course you have to consider the Eclipse version and then take the natural version and install it in that, or take a natural version with the same Eclipse version.
Okay. So if you have any questions, please go online there and in our WebEx session thing and type in your question, and I'm going to read through these. And Karl-Heinz was actually going through some of them as the presentation was going on and answering them. So one of the first questions was, why wasn't NaturalONE released to all clients prior to the October release of Natural version 9? To allow the customer base time to prepare and test NaturalONE and Natural on the ZOS before losing the functionality of the ZOS Natural Editor. So the answer is you can get a copy of NaturalONE today. Contact your account representative and you can sign a trial agreement and you can get a copy today of NaturalONE and the Natural Development Server. You can get that today, or you can wait until October. What a lot of, as Patrick said, and this was addressed all throughout the session, as Patrick said, you could also at any point for probably 2 years have downloaded the evaluation or the community edition off of the tech community. That was also available for a while. So you can get it today if you want it, or you can wait till October. But there's a lot of people doing it now. The next question is, will Natural version 9 allow for objects with more than 10,000 lines? Karl-Heinz already replied, says he didn't know, and he will check and get that answer out. So we'll get back to everyone on that one.
Yes, maybe I can just maybe I can comment on this. We have customers that have very large programs in Eclipse. We know that, but I don't know the number of lines. I know about 7,000 to 8,000 lines, 10,000 lines. I assume it's working, and if there's no limitation by Eclipse, this should work.
Okay. The next question was, will Software AG offer training for NaturalONE? As you heard in the presentation, yes. We already offer some training courses, and as Patrick said, some of our customers have already been through that. We've also put up a few self-learning videos. Patrick gave you the URL for that. We can also provide the actual PowerPoint file. We can provide that to everyone who attended today, and that way you'll have access to all the URLs, because I'm sure you couldn't write them down as we were going through the session. So the answer is yes, there is already training available for NaturalONE. Then, what is the repository shown on the NaturalONE architecture? Karl-Heinz already replied to this. And the repository shown on the NaturalONE architecture, you can use Subversion, SVN, you can use Get. That's what we recommend, but there's also many others that you can use as a plug-in to Eclipse. And Patrick, I know you also covered something about the F-user. I don't know if you want to give a quick answer on F-user in a NaturalONE environment.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different to if you were connecting to an F-user and you're doing like a starnat arm equals and you were overriding an F-user. That same statement can go in your natural mapping statement, your NaturalONE map statement. And if you want to override an F-user, as long as your administrators allow that with dynamic palms, you could override that, or you could do it in a profile. So yeah, you can have as many, pointing to as many F users as you want. They could each have their own NDB server, or you could share the NDB server. NDB server is a multi-natural task. So everybody who joins in as a thread underneath the natural development server.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, the next question was, we use the Natural Editor to log on to SysTick and perform predict tasks. Can you still do this under Natural 9 and NaturalONE? And the answer is yes. Predict is still, not impacted. It's the same for other products like Construct. Patrick, I know, covered this in a little bit of detail, but I think we've answered that one.
Yeah, there's a mainframe.
How does this?
There's a main.
Go ahead.
Becky, there's a mainframe. There's a mainframe console available inside of NaturalONE, which is the same as the next prompt. So you just open up the console and you can type SysDick and the menu will come up.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay. Another question was, how does this integrate with N2O, our change management system? Karl-Heinz typed in an answer that said N2O can be part of the DevOps strategy, as can be our Predict Application Control, or PAC as it's more commonly known. And Karl-Heinz says we're in contact with Treehouse and they can test and adopt it if necessary before the October release for N2O.
Yes, exactly.
Another question is, how does use of a source repository interface with a PAC-controlled mainframe environment? Where is the natural object compiles done? How are migrations handled? Karl-Heinz typed in an answer of object compiles, CAD or STOWs, can still be done in a PAC-controlled library and can be deployed from NaturalONE to this library. Anything either one of you guys want to add to that one?
No, that answers
Okay.
No, I think but I saw that there are other questions regarding PAC are coming later. So PAC can still be used, and really it can be part of also your DevOps. So you don't need to change your PAC jobs, for example, controlling your production environment.
Correct. Okay, so PAC and N2O can still be used. After moving to Natural version 9, what is planned for mainframe utilities syssec and sysdic, and what about developers using Natural vSAM? So Natural vSAM doesn't change. It stays the same. And of course, as Patrick and Karl-Heinz already mentioned, you can still get to predict. It's not a problem. Syssec, still not a problem. Patrick explained how. There was a question about what was Karl-Heinz's comment about ZVSE, and the answer was ZVSE Natural version 9 is not in October. That's just ZOS or ZOS. The VSE will be available in October 2019.
In April 19.
I mean, I'm sorry, April 2019.
April 19.
Sorry,
yes.
Yeah, April 2019. April 2019. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
There was another one that it looks like this is compatible with PAC. The answer is yes. Will having used RAD for Java development help in using the Eclipse product editor?
Yes.
Actually, I didn't really understand that question, but if you know, Patrick, what is meant with that?
I would just say that if you understand, if it's the editing tools, yeah, they would be pretty similar. I mean, the
if you've used
code completion, stuff like that.
Yes, if you're comfortable in Eclipse, NaturalONE is going to be a piece of cake for you. Next question, will more NaturalONE training be scheduled? Absolutely. Go to our website. There's all kinds of course information there. And of course, you can always contact your account executive. And there were some public ones actually held just within the last couple of weeks. So they are available and being held. Would Natural Studio still work via NDV with Natural 9 on Linux beyond December 2020? And Karl-Heinz replied, yes, no change planned. We will also have a Natural for Windows Studio version 9, but no disabled editor. Can NaturalONE still work with report mode code? Yes. Thank goodness. That's how I write my code. I only write report mode.
But there are several questions regarding that.
Yes. Yeah. Will there be a product demo after all of these slides? The answer is no. We don't have time. Actually, we're over time already. But we can always do a demo, and there are recorded demos on that YouTube channel. I would actually suggest you go there because it's actually where you can play it. If you can back up and play it again, or there's just a lot of really good demos out there that Patrick and others have put out there. Will the new NaturalONE editor support report mode natural? And the answer was yes. I already mentioned that one. Okay, when you mention a repository, are you suggesting a repository other than the Natural mainframe F users? And the answer is yes. The F user will then be more of a container, keeping your objects for testing and production. And there's another one about PAC. Of course, that still works. Can we switch between green screen and development IDE Eclipse NaturalONE. If you mean today, you can do. If you mean today, the question is not very clear. But if you mean today, yes, you can do some stuff in green screen and you can do stuff in NaturalONE. But once you go version 9, there is no green screen. You have no choice. You're going to be in the Eclipse editor. There's another one about PAC. We've answered that one. There's another PAC one. We've answered that one. There's the one about back and forth to green screen. There was a question about, is there a fixed cost contract to upgrade and training by SAG? You will need to contact your account executive for that, and they will coordinate with you in our training. And training falls under our global consulting, and they will work with you on getting you upgrade and training options. And yeah, so I'll just say that. Here I guess I'm just answered. Yes, of course. Patrick, does the FNAT, FUser, FSEC for NaturalONE talking to an NDB server on the mainframe? Where do the FNAT, FUser, FSECs reside?
Well, if you map to the mainframe, they're residing on the mainframe. If you were using the local natural inside of NaturalONE, then those FNATs reside actually within the natural install on the desktop. But for most people, only if you wanted to do some standalone, in development on your own, using the actual NaturalONE runtime. But NaturalONE is a standalone natural environment if you want it to be.
But for the vast majority of production, development, testing, you will connect to the FUser, FSEC on the mainframe, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, construct is still supported.
Yeah, maybe also there's a remark that we have also a plug-in in NaturalONE that you can use construct directly in NaturalONE, and it's not a full 100% functionality of construct, but the most heavily used functions by our customers are possible in NaturalONE directly.
Here's a question. Even I think I can answer this, even though I'm not a natural person. When October comes around and Natural9 is released and they're using NaturalONE, do they have to acquire or purchase anything else to access database mainframe databases? The answer is no. You do not have to buy anything else. That's what the NDB server does for you, okay? Here's a question about, what about multiple LPARs? Well, I need a server for each LPAR to isolate QA and to production.
That would be similar to what you're doing today. You could either override if you're allowed to override, if you have an entire network in place, but if you're completely separate LPARs that aren't talking to each other, yeah, you'd need a separate NDB server there.
I know we are like way over time, and I have more questions to go. So I think I'm going to ask one more, and then what I will do is Patrick, Karl-Heinz, and myself, we will go through all these questions, and we will type up our answers, and we will submit those out along with the PowerPoint file and all that. We'll send those all out to you, all the questions, all the answers. This way you'll have the PowerPoint with all the URLs and everything else. Last question before we stop this webinar is, do you know of anyone that uses Team Foundation Server for their repository?
Patrick yes.
Or Karl-Heinz?
Yes,
Okay.
I know customers using it, yes, actually, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these type of questions about asking, does anybody else use this or do that, the tech community is a great place for those types of questions. You will actually get customers responding to you, okay? So there's still quite a few more questions to go. So I really do have to wrap this up. It's been an hour now. So we really appreciate everybody being on. And like I said, we will get these questions and answers out to you along with the PowerPoint and everything else within the next few days. We really, truly appreciate you guys being on with us. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.